people like me. You need people like me so you can point your f***ing fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
To the mother relay, we're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. The latest from boxing insider Rick Glaser, who was the first to forecast Canelo's departure from the PBC. He says, I will be putting out a new list and updating it. It's a matter of rearranging the chairs on the Titanic or fleeing for the sake of their careers. The TV fighters that have left the PBC since Showtime announced they were leaving: Canelo Alvarez, Terence Crawford, Deontay Wilder, Subriel Matias, Ray Vargas, Elvis Rodriguez.
Now, this is what I told you would happen last year.
The fighters are going to go, the ones that can. They're going to leave because they have bills to pay and families to feed like the rest of us, and they can't wait for Al Haymon to sort them out while they sit on the shelf collecting dust.
I told you they were going to float away.
The best advice I can give today is if you're a PBC fighter, look for another promotional entity. And if you're a PBC employee, I would cut down your personal expenses and attempt to find another job. But it probably won't be in boxing. And if you're a PBC vendor, get your money immediately and get out while the getting is good. Because the PBC aren't long for the world of boxing.
It's a sinking ship. And how long have I been telling you on this channel that it's a sinking ship?
4, maybe 5 years? Their modus operandi never made for a sustainable business. It's not a sustainable model.
Boys, you know, it still fascinates me, this business, you know.
In what respect?
Just sometimes, you know, sometimes even when I talk to Dana, you know, that people in boxing, like I look at some of the organisations and I look at some of the promoters and I just think, wow, you really don't know what you're doing, do you? You know, there's a saying, I won't swear per se, but there's a saying in England, it's called pissing in the wind. Mm-hmm. And what that just means, it's just like you're all over the place.
All over the gaff, dare I say.
All over the gaff.
Yeah.
And people take positions on fights, people take risks that are just unfathomable. And when it goes right, it's okay. And when it goes wrong, it can ruin your business, or the fighter might not get paid for months and months and months and months. So I think people who have worked with us know that we're just different. And I think Sal knows that as well. And I want to try and get in a position where I can provide a pathway for Sal to end his career with us.
Eddie Hearn didn't mention him by name, though I have the sneaking suspicion he was talking about Al Haymon. He was talking about his PBC. One might be left to wonder, how do you know he wasn't talking about Ben Shalom?
Because he wasn't asked about Ben Shalom on the MMA Hour by Ariel Helwani. Who they were talking about was Al Haymon, the upcoming Zoo vs. Thurman pay-per-view, and Canelo Alvarez's departure from the PBC.
The PBC that Dan Raphael tweets is going to have their first non-pay-per-view event on Amazon all the way out there in June.
Wow.
6 months into the year. Matchroom, Top Rank, Golden Boy, even Boxer have rolled out comprehensive schedules of fights. Several non-pay-per-view fights where the PBC is set to announce one. Just one in the first 6 months of the year.
Wow.
That's half the year right there. That's half the year gone. Eddie Hearn said that he sometimes looks out there at the other promoters and what they're doing, and he comes to the conclusion that they're just pissing in the wind. They don't know what they're doing.
I think he was talking about Al.
I don't think he was talking about Bob Arum and Top Rank, because Top Rank have been in this business for decades. They wouldn't have been in this business for decades if they didn't know what they were doing. No, I don't think he was talking about Top Rank. I don't think he was talking about Golden Boy.
Golden Boy are the ones who developed Canelo Alvarez.
Golden Boy are the ones who picked up Floyd Mayweather after he left Top Rank.
I don't think he was talking about Golden Boy. I don't think he was talking about Queensberry, his old buddy, Frank Warren. I don't even think he was talking about Ben Shalom.
No, I think he was talking about Al Haymon. I think he was talking about Al Haymon specifically because that was the subject they broached on the show. And Canelo Alvarez, he just left Al Haymon.
That can't be good for them.
Can't be good for their schedule and what plans they had now that they're in bed with Amazon. There's no way this works out to where that's a good look for the PBC and that's good for Al Haymon.
could he say he doesn't know what he's doing, though?
Because he doesn't fucking know what he's doing. Look, Al Haymon is a tourist in the sport of boxing. Even though he's not thought of that way, he is a visitor. Guy who migrated from the music industry after burning some bridges over there.
Came over here.
You never heard about the fiasco between him and Beyonce?
Read up!
Al Haymon has been burning people for years and burning bridges for years. So then you ask yourself, well, if the guy doesn't know what he's doing, and, he's never known what he's doing, how does a guy like that get upwards of 150 to 200 fighters to leave Golden Boy for his PBC? How did he do that?
He was a manager in those days.
He was managing a lot of fighters in those days, and they were doing a lot of business with Golden Boy Promotions. Then he pairs up with Dick Schaefer. They decide to backdoor Oscar De La Hoya, take upwards of 150 to 200 fighters, and funnel them over to his PBC.
Remember, in those days, Richard Schaefer was with Golden Boy.
Pairs up with Al. They backdoor Oscar and the people at Golden Boy. They funnel all those fighters over to Al Haymon's PBC.
But how did they do it?
Money. They offered them big money, offering to pay them well in excess of their market value at that time, because at that time, Al Haymon had just got all that Waddle and Reed money.
You know, like how Ben Shalom promised to make Lawrence Okoli the face of Sky Sports Boxing if he left Matchroom?
It's like that. With all that money from Waddle and Reed to get his PBC off the ground, that's how he got those fighters to leave Golden Boy Promotions for his PBC. Fighters like Deontay Wilder and Keith Thurman, Errol Spence, Sean Porter, Ortiz, so on and so forth.
But it didn't take him long to burn through all that money.
Because the man doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know what the fuck he's doing.
He never has.
Maybe he made for a decent manager, but he never had the chops to be a promoter, and rest assured, that's what he's been. Even if it hasn't been by name, you're brokering deals with this many broadcast networks, you work a lot like a promoter.
You just don't call yourself that, because if you did, you'd be in violation of the Muhammad Ali Act.
One guy cannot act as both advisor, manager, and promoter. It gives him too much power over the fighters. Sooner or later, there's going to be a conflict of interest, a conflict between your role as a manager and your role as a promoter. You may not be able to fulfill them both, and somebody's going to get fucked.
Like Rowley just got fucked.
You convinced Rowley to walk away from the Ryan Garcia fight, which he would have headlined and made more money on, so he could fight on the undercard of Zoo versus Thurman for less money.
No manager worth his weight in salt would have did that to their fighter, but Al Haymon did.
Why?
His role as a promoter. As a promoter, it's better if Rowley stays on his side of things than letting him float away to some other platform to be content for someone else.
But what about Haymon's role as a manager, an advisor?
Well, he did a poor job managing that situation, and he gave Rolly Romero bad advice as an advisor, and that's not even the first time that's happened.
I can go on, but the basic idea here is that when Eddie Hearn says that there are people in boxing that are just pissing in the wind and don't know what the fuck they're doing, it's Al. It's Al Haymon. That's who he's talking about.
That's why he's been kicked off so many networks. They started out on NBC. Things didn't work out. Things didn't work out on Showtime. Things didn't work out on Fox. They don't look to be working out on Amazon.
How could they? Canelo Alvarez just left you. That was your biggest acquisition.
Among several other fighters that have left the PBC since then.
Am I supposed to pretend that this is good for them and good for Al Haymon and it reflects well on him? Am I supposed to pretend?
If it was a bad look for Oscar when Canelo Alvarez left him, why wouldn't it be a bad look for Al Haymon?
Is there some fucking reason you're expecting me and everybody else to pull punches when it comes to Al Haymon? Is he handicapped or something that you expect him to get special treatment when he's fucking up? He is clearly fucking up.
He's been fucking up.
And every time somebody points it out, there's this small rabble of cultists, this small rabble of Haymonites that get their panties in a bunch.
You want me to say it nicer?
If you got some kind of fucking solidarity or tribalism thing going on, that's between you, God, and Al Haymon.
Not me.
What the fuck does any of that have to do with me? When I should treat him like he's the retarded kid or something, like he's delayed, like he's on the spectrum, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna hold off on criticizing him for his fuck-ups. Some fleeting sense of solidarity that you have with him. The man doesn't even know who you are.
Morons.
Deifying a man they've never even met, whose voice they never even heard.
And for what?
There are con men and shysters of every race and denomination in the sport of boxing, and Al Haymon is just another. I'm not gonna hold off on saying that because it hurts your feelings.
Fuck your feelings.
What's going on, Coach?
What's happening?
I can't see you. We don't talk to no doc. Everybody talking about that Frank Martin stuff. I said, no,
Yeah.
ain't happening.
Huh?
Ain't happening.
Al Haymon ain't said yet.
I'm going to tell y'all the whole story. What's his name? Dad is talking about it because he heard about it. That's all. And it was in the air a long time ago. Remember I talked about it, Kenny?
Mm-hmm.
It really happening yet.
Yeah, 'cause they talking today like it was like signed and sealed.
No, it's not happening. That name did come across the
The
table.
air, yeah,
It's not happening yet. You know what I'm saying? Because there's certain things that Tank don't want to do.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why senior, when you kept asking me, I say that name did come, but it's not happening. You know,
Mm.
it's other things. You know, but other things involved with it and whatnot. So again,
Wow.
That is Gervonta Davis's longtime trainer, Calvin Ford, saying in so many words that all this talk about Frank Martin fight over the summer, that's not happening.
Then what is?
What's happening for Gervonta Davis? What's happening for the PBC's upcoming Amazon schedule? If Canelo Alvarez has left and Terrence Crawford is now a free agent, you're hearing that Gervonta Davis is not fighting Frank Martin over the summer.
What the fuck?
It's the word according to Calvin Ford, and he would be in the loop. He would be in the know. Assistant coach, Kenny Ellis, he was right there too.
So many people are trying to downplay what's going on at the PBC.
So many people and so many mental gymnastics, all in the absence of Olympic gold medals, though they deserve one.
Some.
Because they're trying very hard to stop this from looking like the monumental fucking disaster that it is. I've always looked at the PBC as a bit of a failed experiment, built upon the foundations of bitterness and hard feelings,
No know-how.
poor money management, and poor business practices.
Pride. Far too much pride.
Val Haymon wanted his PBC to be something. If he wanted it to be anything, what he wanted it to be was a big fat fucking fuck you to the established outfits in the sport of boxing. What he wanted it to be was a big fat fucking fuck you to the powers that be. And in the end, it seems like he fucked himself and fucked a lot of fighters in the process.
A lot of these fighters are fucked.
I look at the landscape, I look at everything that's happening, and things are happening so fast. So much news is coming out about what's going on and what's not going on. Rumors and whispers. It's happening. I heard a rumor, a nasty rumor, that Al Haymon may be on the eve of selling his PBC for pennies on the dollar. That's right, that Al Haymon may be all but done with boxing, and his remaining stable of fighters, get this,
They may end up going to Golden Boy.
I'm not kidding. That's the latest rumor that I heard. And if that rumor checks out, well, that really is karma, isn't it?
Al Haymon stole all those fighters from Golden Boy Promotions, seemingly dealing Golden Boy a mortal wound, a fatal wound. But Golden Boy survived.
And it's Al Haymon's PBC, seemingly, that is now lying on its deathbed, on its last legs, irrespective of this latest rumor that I just heard earlier today. It is hard to imagine that the PBC will survive beyond this year.
So many fighters jumping ship so fast, so many leaving, and so many more that are inactive and missing in action. Al Haymon is said to be missing in action.
Hasn't been seen or heard from since late last year, when Showtime announced they would be leaving the sport of boxing.
Don't shoot the messenger.
It's the rumor I heard, and the latest rumor I heard is that Golden Boy may end up buying out the PBC.
Don't shoot the messenger.
What's not a rumor is that Calvin Ford says all this talk about Gervonta fighting Frank Martin in the summer, yeah, that's cap. That doesn't look to be happening.
What is happening?
Some time ago, I foretold you of a great reset, a market correction that would do away with Al Haymon's filth and his philosophy.
The Great Reset. A market correction that would see out these fighters that think you've got to pay them an arm and a leg just to get out there. If what you're saying is
Haymon's boys.
you're not going to get out there unless you get X amount of dollars, you know what?
What?
You're not going to get out there.
You're not going to get out there at all.
It's been happening gradually the last 4 or 5 years. It's been happening gradually, steadily. Fighters that you see less and less of.
Standing on their demands and the bullshit that Al Haymon filled their heads with.
You think you're too fucking good to fight for certain dollar amounts, you won't fucking fight then. And the sport don't need you. The sport won't miss you.
Bye.
But clamming that line or taking that chances, taking that type, that's a fight where you put a fighter in, right? Where it's going definitely be some damage in, damage and hydrating back up at that weight. You know what I'm saying? That's why you have weight classes for reasons.
Risk management is an integral part of any business that is a business. But when you start identifying the risks as being too great to even do business, I mean, if you're saying that Gervonta's not fighting Frank Martin, but you don't want him to go up to 140 pounds to fight Devin Haney either, you don't look interested in fighting Shakur or Vasyl Lomachenko, then how are you supposed to keep making the kind of money that you made last year with Ryan Garcia? Because you're not going to make that money with just anybody, for just anybody.
There are so many rumors out there right now.
What's not a rumor is that Calvin Ford himself is saying that all this stuff about Gervonta fighting Frank Martin, yeah, that doesn't look to be happening. Not yet, anyway. And he doesn't want him to go to 140. He doesn't want him to fight Devin Haney up there because it's too risky. But there are not that many safe choices out there. In fact, there are no safe choices out there that are going to pay you like the Ryan Garcia fight paid you. So what is Gervonta Davis going to do?
In a situation where there's no safe money out there, what's Gervonta gonna do? Is he gonna jump ship? Is he gonna cross the street? Is he gonna fight one of these guys? What is he gonna do?
I don't rule out retirement. I don't rule out the possibility that in a situation like this one, Gervonta Davis might so decide to pack it in, call it a career based on instability and a lack of resources at the PBC, the only options on the table being options that he characteristically circumvents.
I mean, what, do you think he's gonna make an offer to Shakur? Or do you think he's gonna go to Top Rank?
So he can fight him there.
No, I don't think that happens.
Do you think he's gonna move up in weight? Do you think he's gonna fight Devin Haney?
No, I don't think that happens.
What about Teofimo Lopez?
No, I don't think that happens.
I don't see any of it happening, to be honest with you. I don't rule out the possibility that in order to maintain this illusion that he's one of the best fighters in the sport, given what's going on right now, he could pack it in, he could retire, call it a career. He made a lot of money last year with Ryan Garcia. A lot of people thought of him as being the next Floyd Mayweather because there was a time when that was his mentor, but he's not like Floyd. Floyd fought the big names. He fought in the big fights, whereas Gervonta has only fought in one, really just one.
The safest fight. The safest fight, the safest choice for the most money. But there are not many fights like that left at 135 and 140.
So what's the play? According to Calvin, it's actually not Frank Martin, in spite of what reports are out there. What ambition, what desire has Gervonta Davis really ever had anyway? His philosophy.
What they taught him.
There's no place for that philosophy in today's boxing landscape. At 135, at 140, you're going to have to earn your money. He doesn't want to.
So what's he gonna do?